therapy, and family counseling. What are we talking about this afternoon?
Group therapy and family counseling.
All right, group therapy and family counseling. Or maybe it's family counseling and group therapy, because the first group that you learn to be a part of is your family. And your family of origin lays the foundation for all the other relationships in your life. Your family of origin sets the tone for how you will function in various group settings. Because the first group that you are a part of is your family. And some of us have different, some of us are very close to our families. Amen. And we have had very loving, close-knit families. Some of us are estranged from our natural families. Amen. And so we are creating a spiritual family, or putting a family together. Did you hear me? A family. Where you take your friends and you make a family. It's a combination of friends that you feel like family about. Amen. Where you are deciding that you can create the family that you desire to have. Because you may not be all of that connected to your natural or biological family. Some of you feel like maybe you were adopted, or they dropped you off on the steps, and that you look at your family and you look at you, and it's like, I don't fit into this family. So I desire to create my own family. And so the family is a group, and the family sets the tone for all the other groups in your life. You're not just functioning as an individual. You're not just functioning as a couple, but you are also functioning in a group and or a family. Amen. Pat yourself on the chest. Say, I'm learning to function as an individual. I'm learning to function as a couple. And I'm learning to function in a group or a family. His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, which means that Jesus, as our way shower, as our example of what it means to be fully human and fully divine, teaches us how to function in groups. Yes. Teaches us how to function in families. Jesus had 12 disciples. They formed a group. Can I say that again? Jesus and his 12 disciples, they were a group. Jesus also had interaction with his family. He said, who is my mother? Who is my sister and my brothers? But those that do the will of my Father. In our text that Ramona read, Abraham was having a different dynamic with his family. His father had transitioned, who was the head of the family. And so now he was faced with this opportunity to leave the family that he was familiar with, to leave the way of being a family that he was familiar with, and to go and function in a different dynamic. Go to a land, go to a consciousness that I will show you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a family. I'm going to make you the father of many nations. That all the families of the earth shall rise up and call you blessed. You will be blessed, and you will be a blessing as a result of this new family that you are creating. That you and Sarah are going to form a family. Are you open to healing in your family? Because everybody's got that family member that you don't care that much for. Everybody has that family member that don't care that much for you. Everybody has that, and it could be a brother, it could be a sister, it could be an uncle, an aunt, a nephew, a niece, amen, a cousin. It could be any title or position, but we all have some people in our families that we don't necessarily get along with. And I'm inviting you to allow this Christmas season to be a healing season for your family. Let me say that again. I'm inviting you to allow this Christmas season to be a healing season for your family. I'm inviting you to send a Christmas card, a Christmas message to somebody that you would not normally send it to. Somebody say, God is healing my family so that I can learn how to function in a group. Because some of us have challenges with group dynamics because we have challenges with family dynamics. And until you heal what's going on in your family, you will never be able to function effectively in a group. Some people are like, I don't do groups. I'm a loner. I'm an individual. I don't do the groups. And people who don't do the groups is because there are unresolved issues in their families. And when they're in a group, it recreates the dynamics in their families that have not yet been healed. Somebody say, I'm healing my family dynamic. So I can know how to function in a group. Amen. Somebody got something going on. But all is well. Amen. They want to listen to, let them listen. Amen. And so if I can heal the family dynamic, then I can function more effectively in a group. In order to have family therapy, in order to have family counseling and improve the group dynamic, pulley point number one, you got to know what your role is. Pulley point number one is role. The reason why there's so much contention and confusion in groups and families because everybody is not clear about what their role is. And God is not the author of confusion, but God is a God of peace. But if I don't know what my role is in the group, if I don't know what my role is in the family, and there's going to be chaos and there's going to be confusion. So in order to have a healthy family, in order to be in a group, you got to know if you're the group leader or you're just a group member. You got to know whether you are the lead person or the support person. You got to know what your role is in the group. For every group that you are in, identify the role. Why am I here? What is my role in this group? What is my role in this family? What is my role on this job? What is my role in this community? What is my role in this fraternity, sorority, community organization, in this church? What is my role? We can never have a healthy group dynamic, and some people call church their family, if we're not clear about what our roles are. Am I a member of the church? Am I a leader in the church? Amen. What is my role in the church? Am I a minister? Am I a deacon? Am I an elder? Am I the spiritual leader? Am I the assistant? What is my role? Look at somebody and say, slow your roll till you know your role. Slow your roll till you know your role. I've been talking good. Slow your roll until you know your role. Amen. Many times we're jumping in and we don't know what our role is. And then we have a big ball of confusion, but you never clearly identified what your role was. And so you got moving, and then you hit a bump, you hit a brick wall, and you said, wait a minute. What is my role? When I know my role, then I don't have to step into other people's roles. I'm not fighting for titles and positions when I know my role. I'm not in competition with anybody when I know my role. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else when I know my role. Look at somebody say, slow your roll till you know your role. Amen. The group, the family can only function when everybody knows what their role is. The father knows what his role is. The mother knows what her role is. The children know what their role is. Amen. Amen. Everybody's got to know what their role is. Because your role plays an important part in the overall dynamic. I don't just need to know my role. I need to know your role as it relates to my role. That's why it's called a family. That's why it's called a group. Because it's a system. And what happens with one is impacting the entire system. So if everybody doesn't know their role and what the role of other people are, you will start having collisions and conflict. Because you don't know what your role is. Look at somebody again and say, slow your roll till you know your role. That's Instagrammable, that's Snapchatable, that's tweetable, and that's Facebookable. Slow your roll till you know your role. Amen. And sometimes out of just desiring to be a part. Sometimes out of just the hunger to be accepted. That we jump into a family dynamic or a group dynamic without knowing what our role is. So bullet point number one, in order to have a healthy family, have a healthy group, first we got to know what our role is. And then once I know what my role is, then I know what my responsibilities are. Bullet point number two, there's a responsibility as a member in a group. There's a responsibility as a leader in a group. So, okay, I'm going to be a member. What is the responsibilities of being a member? Then I can know whether or not I'm a member in good standing. Because I know what the I know my role, I'm a member, and I know what the responsibilities of a member are. Okay, I'm going to be beyond membership. I'm going to be a leader. So these are the responsibilities of being a leader. The challenge is that many times we desire the role without the responsibility. Rolling on the river. And we rolling. And we don't know what our responsibilities is, or we want to roll with the role, but we want the title. We desire the position, but we don't desire to fulfill the responsibility. Because see, once you know your role and you know what the responsibilities are, then you're held accountable. And that's the thing we don't like. Then somebody that is a part of the group or part of the family can pull you up and say, this is your role and you are not fulfilling these responsibilities. And that's when people get mad. That's when people leave. Amen. Start their own group. So I don't have to put up with this. Then they start their own group and other people start acting like how they're acting when they were in the group, and they wonder why people are acting like that. Because they're representing the consciousness that you have. Amen, somebody. Not only must I know my role, I must fulfill my responsibilities. Come on, from me. Not only must I know my role, I must fulfill my responsibility. And if I cannot fulfill the responsibility, I will not take on the role. I'm not going to take a role just to be on the role. If I cannot fulfill the responsibility, I will not take on the role. Because every role comes with responsibilities. Hey, I'm trying to give you some group therapy, some family counseling. When I work with families, I sat down and made sure nobody ever told the child that they was a child. Can you believe it? That you have a family where the child was never told that you are a child. That don't have the same role as the parents. The children actually thought that they were equal to the parents because nobody ever told them what their role was. And then sometimes they knew that they were the child, but they didn't know what their responsibilities were as a child. Amen. But I grew up in my mama's house. My mama's house. I had 3 responsibilities. Just 3. It wasn't complicated. She made it very, very simple. You got 3 things you got to do. Do whatever I say. Get good grades in school. And keep your room and your bathroom clean. I knew what my responsibilities were. And let me tell you, when I did what they told me to do, and when I got good grades in school, most of the time it was straight A's, and when I kept my room and my bathroom clean, guess what? Bullet point number 3. I was rewarded. When I know my role and I fulfill my responsibilities, I receive my reward. I got allowance. To just be honest, I got mostly anything that I desired. And people say, how did you get that? Because I know my role. Amen. I fulfill my, therefore I receive my. Y'all sound a little weak on that. When I know my, I can fulfill my, and I will receive my. We want the reward, and we haven't fulfilled our responsibilities. Look at somebody and say, you can't cheat the universe. Look at somebody else and tell them, you can't cheat the universe. You're not going to receive the reward if you did not fulfill your responsibilities. Right. It won't last. It might look like you're prospering. It might look like you're being successful, but the reward is not going to be sustained, maintained, and consistent unless you are fulfilling your responsibilities that go along with that role. In some families that I worked with, the children, they knew their role, they fulfilled their responsibilities, but the parents didn't give them any reward. That's just what you're supposed to do. That's right. They didn't get any allowance. They didn't get any privileges. It was like slave labor. That's right. Get that. Go over here. Do this. And so they wondered why the children were rebellious. And they wondered why the children were acting out in school because they were not getting their reward. You got to know in the relationship, in the family dynamic, in the group, okay, if I know my role and fulfill this responsibility, what is my reward? If I'm working on a job and this is my role and I fulfill this responsibility, I need to be rewarded with my paycheck. Right. Don't play with the check. But I've been here every day, and I've been on time, and I've been doing my job. Where is my reward? Don't get funny with my money when I have fulfilled my role and I've done my responsibility. Amen. And I'm used to step increases and merit awards. Amen. When I go exceeding and abundantly and exceed expectations, I get a little bonus. Anybody ready for bonus? Bonus means, I get a Holy Ghost. Bonus means is that I know my role, I fulfilled my responsibility, and I went above and beyond the call of duty. I did some stuff that nobody else was doing. Other duties that were not even assigned to make sure ran smoothly. To make sure that the group functioned in orders, I went above and beyond the call of duty. Look at somebody and say, there's nothing wrong with going beyond. There's nothing wrong with being wonderful. There's nothing wrong with being excellent, superior, outstanding. You will be rewarded. Let me tell you that even if you're not rewarded by the people that put you in the role and gave you the responsibility, you can't cheat the universe. The universe, the Bible says God is not unrighteous to forget your labor of love and how you minister and do minister to the saints. You will be rewarded. Sometimes it's at the gas station. Sometimes it's at the grocery store. Sometimes you get unexpected checks in the mail. Sometimes you get rebates and settlements. You are being rewarded because you knew your role and fulfilled your responsibility. You can't thank me enough for what I do. You can't pay me enough for what I do. That there's a reward that comes from the universe. That if I sow sparingly, I reap sparingly. But it's up to me if I sow bountifully of my time, my talent, and my treasure. I will reap bountifully. Somebody say, I'm about to do a reward. Look at somebody say, I'm about to do a reward. I feel a reward coming. Can I prophesy about 3 people that there's a reward coming? Be not weary and well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you don't faint. Somebody say, I feel a reward coming. Bigger than any gift they could put under the tree. I feel a reward coming. I feel God giving me the desires of my heart. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and God will give you the desires of your heart. Somebody say, I feel a reward coming.
Yes.
You can't cheat the universe. Either way. You can't do a half-behind job and expect you're going to get a great reward. Look at somebody say, it don't work like that. And you can't go above and beyond the call of duty and God not compensate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you could ask or even think, according to the power that works in you. Somebody say, I feel a bonus coming. I wish I had 10 people who would put your hands together and give God praise for a bonus coming. Oh, I wish I had about 3 people that would lift your hand and say, thank you, God, that my bonus is coming. That there's a door that's going to open. There's a way that's going to be made. I feel my bonus coming. He said, if you be faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many. People look at you and say, how did you get that? It was a bonus. How did you walk out with that? It was a bonus. Why did that work out for you like that? Somebody said it was a bonus. That God is always going to make sure that I get my bonuses. That God who is righteous, God who is just, the universe that's been set up to bless me is going to make sure that I get my bonus. Somebody say it's time for a bonus. God knows how to give you a bonus. God knows how to put the bubbly in your champagne. Somebody say bonus. God knows how to give you a little giddy up in your get along. Somebody say bonus. God knows how to touch your heart in places that no human being can ever touch. I'm talking about unexpected and unspoken requests. I grew up in the old church where they had spoken and unspoken requests. That you didn't always tell what your prayer request was. Sometimes you had unspoken requests. They would say, lift your hands if you have an unspoken request. And people would lift their hands because they didn't want other folk to know their business. They would say, I have an unspoken request. I came to prophesy that God is going to fulfill your unspoken request. And you're going to know that it's God because you ain't told the universe. That's a reward.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how you heal a family.
Yes.
How you do some family counseling. Make sure that everybody in that family knows what their role is, what their responsibilities are, and what their rewards are. Let me tell you how to heal a group. Make sure that everybody in the group knows what their
Roles are.
what their
Responsibilities are.
and what their
Rewards are.
that's some family counseling right there. That's some group therapy right there. Because when I'm clear, there is no fear. I'm clear that there's some stuff that you can give me. And there's some stuff that only God can give me. And so I heal myself. I heal the dynamic in this family. I heal. And you say, well, why I always got to be the bigger person? Because that's your role. Why I always got to be the one to initiate? Because that's your role. That's your responsibility. They seem like they don't have to, initiate anything because that's not their responsibility, and they're not going to get the reward. I can lead from a lane that I love because I know what my role is. I fulfill my responsibilities and I receive my rewards. That's how you heal a family. That's how you heal a group.